Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about Prince Caspian by C.S. Lewis in my continuing little series of reading the Chronicles of Narnia. So if you already watched my Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe one, awesome. Heading on to Prince Caspian. I liked it. It was definitely random. And that's what I feel like if you watched my Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe episode or video or whatever you want to call it, I talked about how C.S. Lewis, I feel like, didn't necessarily plan his world out, which if he did, good for him. I have no idea. Just reading the books as an adult, it feels very random. So basically, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy come back to Narnia, and these people called the Telmarines have basically invaded years ago and taken over Narnia, which happens, yes, that is an actual historical thing. That's a thing that still happens today, people taking over other people's lands. It just kind of seemed really random because there was no hint that there were any humans in this world whatsoever before this. But I guess there are. They just lived on an island off of Narnia that's there. So it's just, like I said, it seemed really random. They've basically come in, they've killed a bunch of the talking animals, they've taken over. Narnia isn't as magical as it used to be. They come, they help Prince Caspian, who's the main character and a good guy who wants basically, equality for all the animals and all the fantastical creatures that used to be in Narnia, etc., etc. And Aslan pops up, of course, because he's important, but that also just seemed really strange. And it seemed weird to me, too. Aslan just has no backstory, which sometimes is fine with me, but it's just like, yeah, he's the son of the king from across the sea. Like, okay, who's this other person? Why is he so important? I mean, everyone's like, Aslan's Jesus, and apparently C.S. Lewis said he wasn't, but let's be real. Read the first book, okay? So, I guess he doesn't need a backstory if you know that he's Jesus, but he just keeps popping up, randomly. Don't know how he gets to Narnia, I guess magic. And he saves the day every single time, or helps people every single time, which I guess is a good, if he is Jesus, good parallel for that. But I just find it kind of strange. Where's Aslan hanging out in between? Why doesn't he just stay there? Whatever, no idea. Like I said, maybe those are answered in future books, so I guess we'll find out because I have no idea. I literally don't remember anything. Once again, it was fun. It was still entertaining. A little bit out there. I thought it was weird. They come back to Narnia. There are going to be some spoilers here, so just stop watching if you don't want any spoilers. The Pevensey children come back to Narnia, and they're walking around, and it's very different than they remember, and they find this castle, and they're like, what the heck? Oh, this old ruined castle. I don't remember this being in Narnia, and it's their castle. And I get that it's changed. It's been over 1,000 years or something. There's no actual number given. At least that I noticed. Maybe I completely missed that part. Went over my head. But they're standing at their castle, and they don't recognize it. And yeah, once again, it is in ruins, but I feel like you would still recognize your own castle where you lived for many, many years, but okay, and once again, Narnia in the first book, you can see everything from everywhere, so it must be a really small land. They would know if there was another castle around there that looked in the years they lived in Narnia, they probably would have explored the freaking entire land because it seems so small based on the book. But no, I guess not. That's what I mean by the planning. It just seems a little bit ridiculous that they don't know every inch of Narnia after being kings and queens there for years. But whatever, that's definitely an adult thing. As a kid, who cares? They probably aren't thinking about these things. And like I said, it was still fun. I feel like in kids' books this happens a lot. The climax is super fast and really short and everything is over. And then, it's all good, whatever. That's definitely what Prince Caspian is like. I don't think I liked it as much as The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, just because of all the things I mentioned before. The writing is still fun. It's easy to read. It's an adventure story. No worries there. I hate the ending, though. Once again, spoilers. Just like at the end of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where I hate and I can never get over the fact that the children forget about this world and their parents and their friends and anyone they knew from here. At the end of this one, Peter and Susan, when they're going back to our world, to home, tell Edmund and Lucy, hey, just FYI, we're not going to be coming back to Narnia. Aslan told us we're too old. Which I'm like, that's BS in my opinion. But also, why did he need to write? Like, I just hate when they, like, the author, like, C.S. Lewis just felt the need to explain that they weren't going to be in the other books. But that could also just be explained because I've already started reading The Voyage of the Dawn Treader is the next one. And Peter's away at school studying, and Susan is with her parents in America. So, of course, they wouldn't be in that adventure anyway. And I feel like C.S. Lewis could have just kept that part out about the BS of children being too old, because grown-up humans live in Narnia at this point in time. All the Tamarines, you know, they've been there for years. It made no sense to me. It was just dumb writing, on my opinion. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. He just felt the need to explain why they wouldn't be in the other books, even though that literally doesn't need any explaining at all, because they're just not there. They're not with Lucy and Edmund when they get sucked into Narnia in the second book. So of course they're not. Or sorry, in the third book. Third book published. Chronologically, I think it's the fifth or something, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. That stuff's all confusing. I'm reading them by publication date, not by chronological Narnia date. So I just feel like he's not good at writing endings, I guess. He just feels the need to explain things, and then, you know, everything just goes back to how it was, and it's totally fine and whatever. So we'll see. Like I said, it's still enjoyable. They're definitely not my favorite books. I don't know if I'll keep them, especially depending on how it ends, which, once again, I have no idea. I cannot remember the last battle at all. So if I think it's lame, I won't keep them. I found them all at the library, except for Prince Caspian. So this one was missing from the set at the library, and they were only $3, so I just got all of them. So yeah, we'll see. Still enjoyable. Oh geez, I totally forgot to think of a question for this one. We did Who's Your Favorite Lion last time. So let's go mythological creature. There's a lot of like mythological creatures in the book. Also, randomly in this book, like the little, I wouldn't say he's a little god. In the book, I feel like he's, in my head, he was pictured like a little satyr, however you properly say that. And for some reason in my head, they're always shorter than people. I don't know if that's actually true in mythology. It's been a while since I've read some Greek mythology. But Bacchus is randomly in this with like a bunch of dryads and little satyrs dancing around having a whole party. And I was like, where the F did this even come from? Like, I don't remember him being in the first book. There's just like a random Greek Roman god. What? It was so, like I said, I feel like, whatever. You know, whatever. Just whatever happens in Narnia, you know, whatever C.S. Lewis wants to just randomly shove in the Narnia world, I guess, just get shoved in. Because like I said, there's so many cultures and random things there that just, so far to me, don't make sense, because it's supposed to be a different world than planet Earth, you know, but whatever. So, whatever. Yeah, so I guess favorite mythological creature. In this book, I'd say definitely the centaur. There's a centaur briefly mentioned. He just seems like really regal and loyal and like standing there really tall and proud, cheering the good guys on. And so I'd say, at least from this book, probably the centaur is my favorite mythological creature. Overall, I mean, like, I'm a big fan of dragons. They're cool, you know. I don't know if that's my favorite. I'd have to give that more thought, but I totally forgot to think of a question to end this with. So, anyway, that is the end. That was Prince Caspian by C.S. Lewis. Comment down below, what is your favorite mythological creature? What do you like better, The Lord of the Rings or The Chronicles of Narnia? And thank you so much for listening. Like, subscribe, comment, share if you know other people who like books. And you all have a great day.